Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalam alahi rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Bidnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, we are going to have a small discussion today and find that it is not a very big discussion. I don't want to create a very long video for today's session. Alhamdulillah, we know that we usually do on Sunday a topic on tafsir course, and we usually go and learn a little bit about lessons. But because of the fact that the situation of Rohingya, it is really has made me to talk on about them, and that is why bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, tonight's discussion will be about Rohingya, and the topic is called Rohingya Muslims and a special dua for them. So we're going to talk about Rohingya Muslim a little bit, inshallah, what's the news happening, and a little bit of talking about them, and alhamdulillah, the history, and discussion about them is very much important for us to know and understand the fact that many people are not talking about it in many places. But inshallah, Dawah Group, it will be a different way. We're going to talk about them, inshallah, and we're going to try, inshallah, to discuss the history and a little bit of other things, inshallah. Inshallah, the news happening, the Turkey, what they're doing, Saudi Arabia, what they're doing, and inshallah, a little more interesting story, inshallah. I think so it will be very much good for us. But also together with that, inshallah, we also remember them, and that's why, inshallah, we are going to have a special here in Dawah Group, a special dua for them, inshallah. Inshallah, let's get started by first talking about a little bit about the history. Now, history about talk about the Burma. We find that when you talk about the Rohingya Muslims, you find that they are predominantly from that region in Myanmar, there in Burma, it's called now Arakan, and you find that it is also known as the Rakhine state, which has exerted the considerable political and cultural influence on the southern and the southeastern parts of the Bangladesh from the early medieval times, and along mountain range it separates the rest of Burma from Arakan, which is bounded by the Bay of Bengal. And it is in this region that a group of Muslims, they trace their history back to the 8th century, when their ancestors from Arabia, they were allowed to settle in the South Arakan by the King Mahatang Chandra, which is on 788 to 810. They are very much in the centuries before. You find that there's a Christian era. So we find that what I'm talking about here is that when you're talking about this point about the Burma Muslims, we are saying that they are in that southeastern part of the Bangladesh. If you go southeastern part, you find that there. You go a little bit down, there you find that there are our brothers and sisters, Rohingya Muslims there, and you find that what they are doing there, you find that they are living there very much fantastic life, and inshallah, because you find that most of them, they are tracing their history back to the 8th century, when the ancestors from the Arabia, so their ancestors come from the Arabia. You can imagine the fact that some of them, they were Arabs before, but you find that as we know that when you live within a community, you find that the language changes, and also your cultural changes, and you find that Arakan region, it was once a separate state ruled by the Arakanese, which are now the Theravada Buddhist, who they were surrounded by first the Bengal Sultanate and then the Mughal Empire. So you can see here that that was the Arakan region here we're talking about, and here you find that it is a separate state. It is a separate state that was ruled by a Buddhist, by a Buddhist, and very much interesting to find that what they're talking about is Bengali is their language, okay, and it's not Arabic or any other language. At the beginning of that 17th century, you find that Arakan was at the height of his power with Mrauk. You know, in Mrauk, this person, he was in the 17th century, he was now, the Arakan was very much good power, a good person to lead. So you can see that when a good person, when he comes to lead, when you find that your president is very much nice, we find that this is a person who is knowledgeable, understanding a lot of things. He knows how to handle people. He has leadership skills, yeah. And as its capital during the reign of King Sanda Thudama, so that was the king there of the capital, and his dominion extended across 1,000 miles of coastline from Chittagong to Syriam. And in the previous century, the Arakanese, they had extended their trade through the Arakanese littoral up to Chittagong with the help of Portuguese mercenaries, and it had grown wealthy from trade, including trade in slaves, when it actively raided from the Ganges Delta. So you find that in that was the 17th century, you find that place, Arakan, it was very much powerful. Very much powerful for the fact that they had their power with Mranku as its capital, and as its capital. So capital was very much interesting. You find that, and the king there was King Sanda Thudama that time. Okay, and you find dominion now extended, meaning that they expanded their region. People they try to get more of the land because of the fact that they had power. And together with that, we find that when they extended, their trade also extended, their working, we find also that was with the help of also the Portuguese mercenaries. It had grown also from wealthy from trade, and also trade in slaves they are doing and here the Buddhist, you find that who was the Buddhist Arakanese. He was noted for their skill in navigation and naval warfare, and the kings of Arakan, he never left the nearby Muslims of the Mughal Empire in peace. So this is interesting for the fact that they were able to extend their powers, and this is very much interesting. When you find that like if you see a country like if you see a very big country that is able to handle, like the US, you find that it is able to handle many of the things, many of the workings very much easily, because of the fact that they have good partnership with people, good working with people, good trading with people, good relationship with other people also. And this is very much also important for the fact that these people here in the Arakan, you find that they had some skills. This is one of the skills of the US. They have very important skills. Yeah, they had the skill in navigation, and they had very much good in warfare. At that time, if you want to win someone, you have to be very much strong in their hand and brave, a little bit courageous. Yeah, and these kings of Arakan, they never left the nearby Muslims of the Mughal Empire in peace, and they sent naval expedition to Bengal at intervals, and they planned that whichever part of the countryside fell on the route, Arakan even grew stronger, raiding the entire Sundarbans Delta to Calcutta in the west and Murshidabad in the north, whilst Tripura became a tributary. The Arakanese, they sacked Dhaka. Dhaka is a Bangladesh there in 1625, taking many prisoners, including the wife of the Mughal military officer, who they carried off in chains. But these raids, they continued for a long time, and not a house was left inhabited on either side of the river from Chittagong to Dhaka, and the coastal districts, they become desolate, and according to contemporary historians, they were swept clean and the broom of plunder and kidnapping, so that no one was left in that region. With each raid, the Arakanese and their Portuguese counterparts, referred to as the Ferigines at that time, they carried off Hindu and Muslim men, women and children along with their property, and the captives are sold to repent for handsome profits. So you find that they're doing slave trading at that time. When you have power, you're able to get people and get them into captives and then sell them, so they get money. And there was a time was Aurangzeb in 1665, the Mughal emperor, who was Aurangzeb. He decided to take action on the menacing Arakanese Buddhists and the Portuguese Christian marauders, and launched the Mughal conquest of Chittagong. So this Mughal empire during that time, they stretched from the Balkh province in the Afghan, Uzbek, Iranian border, present-day Java. And Shaista Khan, who was Aurangzeb's maternal uncle, Shaista, okay, he served as the Mughal governor of Bengal from 1664 to 1688, and he was a key figure during his nephew's rule. And Aurangzeb, he knew that the Arakan kingdom had developed its military and naval strength significantly over the years, and as such he ordered Shaista to reorganize the navy immediately. And the old boats, they were repaired, and new boats, they were built in the dockyards of Dhaka and Jezore and also other river ports. And the crews, they recruited and assembled and provision collected, and expert officers that chosen for higher posts such as Admiral Ibn Hussein. And within a year, 300 vessels, they were assembled and readied for naval warfare. And you find at that time, you can say that when you have warfare, you are good in that time. If you have good person who is able to do warfare, that is very much good for you, because at that time it is required for them. And under that command of Aurangzeb, Shaista Khan, he also made diplomatic efforts to win the support of the Dutch East India Company, and they had set up base in Indonesia in this period, as well as the Portuguese, who were given refuge in Arakan and who were supporting the Arakan Buddhist kingdom with its resources, troops, and often superior weaponry. And the Portuguese, who were effectively mercenaries, they were offered generous terms for the withdrawal of their support from the Arakanese, while the Dutch were informed that failure to support the Mughal conquest would affect their trade throughout the Mughal Empire. Shaista Khan, he began the campaign by leading the Mughal forces in an assault on the island of Sandwip, which lay in Arakanese control. And the Muslims, they gained a considerable advantage when a conflict erupted between the Arakanese and the Portuguese. So yes, we're talking about the fight between Arakanese and Portuguese. We find that they are trying their best to win the Portuguese. We find that Aurangzeb time, we find that, when they saw that the Muslims, they are being taken like that as captives and then taken as slaves, so he was very much strong, and the leadership quality of his was very much good, and he told now his uncle, now we want to create a very much warfare, fantastic warfare with the Portuguese and also the Buddhist. And that is really, you can see that they were very much strong at that time. They were very much strong because they're able to have a good leadership. Very much important thing to have a good leader, and this is essential. This is essential for anyone to have a good leader. So you'll find that at that time, in December now, you'll find that in December 1665, Shaista Khan, he launched a major now military campaign. As we know, after Shaista Khan, he began the campaign of by leading that Mughal forces in assault on the island of that Sandwip, which lay in Arakanese control. The Muslims, they gained a considerable advantage when that conflict erupted between the Arakanese and Portuguese, and they were very much strong. And to escape now from that wrath of the Arakanese king, the Portuguese, he fled from Chittagong with their families, ships, and military, and by promptly offering protection and support. And Shaista Khan, he sequestered the aid of the Portuguese against the Arakanese, and the Mughal forces succeeded in capturing the island Sandwip in November 1665. And in December 1665, we find that now they come together. These forces of the Mughal forces, they came against the Arakanese with the aid of the Portuguese. And in December 1665, Shaista Khan, he launched a major military campaign against the Chittagong, which was the mainstay of the Arakanese kingdom, and a base for the fleet was necessary, as Chittagong, he was to be attacked by the land. Chittagong, the place, was to be attacked by land and sea simultaneously. Sandwip provided the ideal naval base, and the imperial fleet consisted of 300 Mughal vessels and approximately 40 Portuguese auxiliary vessels, and the overall command was given to Buzurg Umid Khan. His name is very much difficult. He is the son of Shaista Khan, while Admiral Ibn Hussein remained in charge of the navy and supplied provision for the campaign. And after simultaneous bombardment by the sea and the land, the Mughals they held sway after a number of days, and the conquered territory was placed under direct imperial Mughal administration. It should be noted that the Dutch East Indian Company did send 2 ships to Aurangzeb to be used in his expedition. However, Shaista Khan achieved victory over the Arakanese before their arrival, and upon the victory against the Arakanese, thousands of Muslim and Hindu peasants who were being held captive by the Arakanese forces, they were released, and the conquest caused indescribable joy throughout the country. The people that were saved from the plunder, oppression and tyranny of the Arakanese captives returned to their homes and joined their families. Peace was restored in the area, and agriculture, trade and commerce flourished. What I want to note here in this story is that one, that much like the Muslim in Burma today that we are seeing, the 17th century Muslim of that region, they are persecuted, and also they are kidnapped, and also they are killed. However, unlike the today, you find that the Muslim in that era, they had a strong Muslim leader and personality in Aurangzeb and his general Shaista Khan, who defended the lives of the believers and repelled the menacing oppressive enemy. You can say that if you see in the Burma today, you find that there is no Muslim leadership. And here we usually talk about this very much because of the fact that if you don't have a Muslim leadership, there is going to be really very much trouble to the Muslims, Ummah, especially when you're living in a land which is of the kuffar, it's not of the Muslims. So Muslim leadership, he has to be a person who is very much brave, who is very courageous, and that's why we usually find that we usually say very much that if you are using the Islamic way of getting the Muslim leaders, you will know that getting the Muslim leaders, he has to be also a person who is righteous, a person who has taqwa, and together that also should be a person who is brave, courageous. He has to have very much fantastic, say, leadership skills. It's very much important. And when you have that strong Muslim leader, he can really lead the Muslim out of their trouble. Very much important. With the help of Allah, he can really lead. Because you find that tawakkul, it comes in that way. And together we find that in Burma, you find that there is no Muslim leadership like the Aurangzeb and the Shaista general. There's no. But you find that, as we are saying that, we'll talk about the Turkey also, but let us go ahead. I want to mention the fact that also the terrorists such as the Burmese Buddhist monk who you are seeing is Ashin Wiratu and his 969 movement, they are dedicated to the eradication of Islam and Muslim in Burma. That is his job, that person's job. I say that again, he has his leadership. He has his leadership, you can say it. And he is saying that he wants to eradicate Muslims because he is seeing that the Muslims, they are spreading. Muslims are becoming more. The Muslims, they are in a very much good shape. So he's very much scared of that thing. He doesn't want to see the Muslim like that. If you see the Muslim that way, you find that he's scared. Because you see that the Muslim become number one, they become problem for the other people, for their people. And they follow the same branch of the Buddhism, Theravada, that the Arakanese of 17th century they belong to. Also, you have to remember that today Muslim in Burma, as we can see, they are surrounded by Bangladesh, which is the 4th largest Muslim nation on earth. And also there is Pakistan, which is one of 8 nuclear powers in the world. We have Indonesia, which is the most populated Muslim nation, and Malaysia also there. So defending now the defenseless Muslim Burma, it should not even be a contentious issue, and yet we are witnessing to the importance of this and other Muslim nations. The leaders of the West, they also sit idly by whilst tyranny runs rampant is happening in the Muslim lands, which are led by Muslim leaders. They are responsible for instantiating. And the condition of Rohingya Muslim, it is grows daily more desperate. Just how bad does the tyranny in Burma have to get before the more Muslim nations they take action? So, if the Muslims nation they don't take any action against the tyranny which is happening in the Rohingya, against the Rohingya Muslims, the operation happening, there's going to be a big problem. That means, if another place now it comes now, if not in Rohingya now, it comes now to Africa, comes to another place, you find it's come to India even currently it's happening. So you find that no Muslim is willing to help, no Muslim leader is willing now to talk also with the leaders. At least at least the Muslim leaders, there are many, alhamdulillah, shukrullah, but if there's no action within themselves, then I really say that they are not doing anything. Even if you are living in Africa and you are among the Muslim leaders, you can do many things. Why? Because you have contacts. A Muslim common man, what does it have? What does he have? It doesn't have many contacts. It just have only maybe the locality, but no contacts of international. It becomes a trouble for them. But at least if you're a Muslim leader, maybe in a country, you are maybe a governor or you are somewhere, there, you are having a very more responsibility than also the common Muslims who maybe they don't have the contacts with big people, but you have contact with big people. Maybe you have also contact with Donald Trump, you have contact with president there, maybe in Egypt. Anyway, you can find that you have contact with them, at least to talk with them, to discuss with them this issue that happening in Burma. So Aurangzeb and Shaista Khan, they understood well the words of Allah Azza Jal, when Allah Azza Jal, He said very much importantly in the Quran. What does it Allah Azza Jal say? So we go to Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21, and the verse is number 92. And bidnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن هذه أمتكم أمة واحدة وأنا ربكم فاعبدون. This verse, it teaches us very much important thing when it says that verily this brotherhood of yours, it is a single brotherhood, and I am your Lord and cherisher, therefore serve me and no other. And also the words of the Prophet ﷺ when he said in Bukhari that a Muslim is a brother Muslim and he does not wrong him or forsake him or despise him. So we pray Allah He delivers the believers from their present situation and raises for them the likes of Aurangzeb and Shaista Khan, who sends an army against the oppressors, and may he fulfill the long cherished desire of the Rohingya Muslim to be relieved from the brutal attacks on oppression and for peace to be restored as it was for the believers before them. Find that inshallah, if you want to understand more about this thing which is happening in the Ummah, you need to really know that what is happening in the Ummah of the Muslims, and the news of the Muslims is very much important. Currently, you find that many of the Shuyukh they are saying that these things needs to be spread to others. And now I want to go a little bit what Erdogan, who has said that we aim to build more livable camps for the Rohingya Muslims. And this Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he has stated that his country will attempt to build more livable camps for those who are fleeing persecution to Bangladesh from the nearby Rakhine state in Myanmar. And when he was speaking to the journalists at the Istanbul's Ataturk airport before leaving to Astana for an OIC summit, Erdogan saying that there has been ongoing multilateral diplomacy amidst the crisis in Myanmar, and Erdogan stated that the current camps in Bangladesh, they are not livable. And finally, Turkish president, he expressed hope that the upcoming summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will make the Muslim world voice louder regarding the violence in that Myanmar, and he aims to garner more support to put an end to that reckless genocide on the Rohingyas. And he said that hopefully we will make progress towards ending the bloodshed and violence during this summit. That was Erdogan, he said. And many of the refugees, they are still living in that streets. And Khatun, who is a refugee from Rohingya, he told the Anadolu agency that we have been left incapable and we do not have the possibility of cooking even a little food. We could not find a rug to cover ourselves, she said. And if Bangladesh authorities now they allocate an area, we want to build more livable tent camps for the Rohingya refugees using our experience, said the Recep Tayyip Erdogan. So Turkey will share its know-how building camps with better facilities, as the country has hosted around 3 million Syrian refugees for over 6 years. And I can say that the fact that a Muslim leadership like this one is really required in the Muslim Ummah when you see that the situation is really very bad. You can say that when we see this situation happening, we require a Muslim leader who is able to give his all. He's able to give his all, and this is very much important that we need and we require such Muslim leaders. We require such Muslim leaders. So very much importantly is to know and understand the fact that many people, they think that that Turkey, what they're doing, it's not it is the best, and I think really you are saying the truth. What the Turkey they're doing, alhamdulillah, they're doing very much nice and very much fantastic. And the Turkey intensive efforts they have stated to bear fruit, as the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency TIKA was allowed to distribute food and also clothing. Again, you can see that they are giving food and clothing in that Rakhine state hours after Erdogan telephone calls with Myanmar State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi on the recent violation of human rights. Erdogan said that is what Erdogan said, and he was talking with that president of that Myanmar state, and he was angry for the fact that they are violating the human rights. Again, you find that President Erdogan's wife, who is the Turkey First Lady, Emin Erdogan, and his son Bilal Erdogan, Turkey's foreign minister, Mevlut Cavusoglu, and other government and AK party officials, you find that they are doing, and other government and AK party officials were seen on the ground in Bangladesh distributing the industrial aid that was supplied through the Turkish government's aid agency. So Turkey, you can see that has distributed 1,000 tons of humanitarian aid, and in the second phase we are planning to distribute 10,000 tons of food, medicine and clothes. That is what President Erdogan said, and that's very much good. And let us see what the Turkish non-governmental organization in the field are doing. And there has been additional aid also coming from the non-government organization in the Turkey to those taking refuge in Bangladesh. And the Turkish Red Crescent has distributed aid worth $2.5 million for Rohingya Muslims in Bangladesh, and distributed 2,000 food packages during the visit of the Turkish First Lady Boratuma. The head of the group's Bangladesh delegation, they told Anadolu agency, he added that they distributed sacrificed meat to 22,000 families in coordination with Bangladesh Red Crescent, and each package is meant to supply a family needs for 2 weeks. That is what Thomas said. The DNA Foundation, TDV, the charity arm of Turkey's Religious Affairs Directorate, is set to distribute also food packages worth of $150,000 to 3,000 families next week. In addition to other aid, the aid targets more than 140,000 Rohingya Muslims in refugee camps in Bangladesh, including in Kutupalong and Balukali. The foundation is also planning to distribute $650,000 worth of packages of clothing and hygienic supplies following its fieldwork. For 5 years, the foundation has been involved in distributing humanitarian aid, including during the Muslim holy months as well as the education activities for Rakhine Muslims. The value of the aid to date totals almost 12 million Turkish liras, at $3.5 million, and the Turkish was rated the top provider of humanitarian aid on a percentage of GDP basis last year. I find that is showing that Turkey has been ranked second in the world for most humanitarian aid. Turkey, they are aiding and they are sponsoring the Rohingya Muslim and refugees, and we can see that the situation of the refugees there is really very much scary. First of all, a reflection of it, I want to give you the fact that I would want my brothers and sisters to do 2 things. I don't want to make difficulty for them. Only 2 things, let us do it. The first thing, inshallah, let me mention 3 things. Let us do 3 things. The first thing that you should doing, it is to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for the favors that He has given you. Why am I telling you, my brothers and sisters, this thing? Very much importantly, the fact that the companions, and there were tabi'ins at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, after the companion, that is the tabi'ins, and they were very much people who they knew the religion very much. They said that it is very much important for us to thank Allah for anything happening. And reflection, when I come to understand, I really was very much interested in this thing that you need not to be a wealthy person in order to have the people who are Rohingya. But first, very much important thing, we find that when you see this situation Rohingya in happening, first thing, you should thank Allah for the favor that He has given you, that He has not made you suffer that situation, which is the Rohingya people that are suffering, the Rohingya Muslims are suffering. That's why I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, thank Allah. Be grateful to Allah that He has helped you not to have such a situation. That's the first thing I'll tell you. And thanking Allah is very much important, my brothers and sisters. You should thank Allah for He giving you your eyes, for your ears, for your mouth, for your everything that you have. It is Allah who has given you. You should thank Allah for it. And very much importantly, for the fact that He has protected you from the persecution and the oppression of the tyrant leaders and such like things. It's very much important. Pray Allah and thank Allah for this. Number 2, I will mention the other thing that we should be doing is that we should be doing, we should be avoiding the bad deeds. We should be avoiding the bad deeds. Very much important that find the many people, they are doing bad deeds and they are seeing that the Muslim situation is happening. But find that if you want to change the situation Muslim, you must first change yourself, become a good person, try to become a person who you find that he is good and you're trying to do a lot of good deeds. Trying to be a person who you find that he says that if there is any wrong that is done, he should try to ask Allah for tawbah, for repentance. That's the important thing I'm telling about, sister, that you do repentance at the same time, and also you try to avoid the evil deeds. And this is the same thing as saying that you are doing what? Repentance, when you are avoiding the evil deeds. So ask Allah for forgiveness, and also ask Allah to forgive all our sins. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. The third thing I will tell you, my brothers and sisters, what you should do. It should do a dua for the Rohingya Muslim. Inshallah, tonight, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we are going to do a not very much big dua, but we are going to do a dua for the Rohingya Muslim, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah. And we are going to start also, inshallah. So I will say that please let us do dua, and inshallah, also please also share this video to everyone. Also, they should be involved into the dua of this that we are doing for the Rohingya Muslims, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah. And we say that may Allah accept it from all of us. So inshallah, I'll start the dua. So please, my brothers and sisters, I find that before I start the dua, inshallah, I want every one of you to face, alhamdulillah, the Qibla and to raise your hands bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and inshallah I will be reciting the dua, and I will be starting by praising Allah Azza Jal, and I will praise Allah Azza Jal with one of his most praises of as we find the Prophet told us, and I'll say, okay, start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Oh Allah, we ask you, Allah Azza Jal, that to help, Allah Azza Jal, the Muslims who are in Rohingya, Allah Azza Jal. Find that, Allah Azza Jal, the Rohingya Muslims are being oppressed, Allah Azza Jal, and we find that they are being oppressed by the Buddhists, and are being oppressed by severely being killing also. They have been killing in Burma. Allah Azza Jal, please help the Rohingya Muslim. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Please Allah, we find that Allah Azza Jal, we also find that we have made mistakes. We have made mistakes against our own self. We have made mistakes against the souls of our own selves. We find that we have made mistakes because we find that we ourselves, we are weak, Allah Azza Jal. And we find that, please Allah, we find that when we make mistakes, Allah Azza Jal, we ask only you, Allah Azza Jal, to forgive us, because we know that only you, Allah Azza Jal, can forgive us our sins, Allah Azza Jal. Please Allah, we find that indeed we find that the people they have gathered against us. We find that the people they have gathered against us, and we find that we cannot do many things against them. We find that we don't have the strength against them. But we find that when we have Allah Jal, when you have Allah Jal, we say Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, Allah Jal, and we say that Allah, you are the one who is sufficient for us, Allah Jal. So please Allah, help the Rohingya Muslims, Allah. Please Allah. And we find Allah Jal, we find that we know that there are enemies of Muslims, Allah. We find that some enemies of Muslims, and we find that we know that these people, they don't like Islam, they hate Islam, and that's why Allah ask you, Allah, to help us, because we find that you are our, we know that you are sufficient for us as our helper. Please Allah, help us, Allah. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Allah, we know that you are the one who you belong. We know that you are the one, you belong to, you have that dominion of the heavens and the earth, and that we know that you have no protector, you have no any helper. So Allah, please Allah, help the Muslims who are in Rohingya. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. And we find that who is it that could be an army for you to aid you other than the most merciful Allah. We know that the disbelievers, they are not but in delusion, and we know Allah, you are the one who can really help Allah. Please Allah, help those Muslims who are in Rohingya. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Allah, know that we have made mistakes. We know that we have, and we are people who do a lot of mistakes when we are not the best. Please Allah, help Allah. Us also, we find that we have made mistakes. Forgive us our sins. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. We find that Allah, find that you are Al-Malik, you are Al-Aziz, you are Al-Hafid, you are Al-Qawi, you are Al-Ma'ani, you are Al-Matin, you are Al-Wali, you are Al-Nasir, you are Al-Adla, you are Al-Haq, you are Al-Jabbar, you are Al-Qahhar, you are Al-Muhaymin, you are Al-Mutaqqim. Allah, please Allah, with the names of your attributes are mentioned, Ya Allah. Please Allah, help those Muslims who are in Rohingya. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Please Allah, we find that and when they went forth to face that Goliath, we find that, Dawood alayhi salam, when he faced the Goliath soldiers, they say that our Lord pour upon us the patience and plant firmly our feet and give us victory over the disbelieving people. Allah, please Allah, the same way we ask you, Allah, that you pour upon us the patience and plant firmly our feet and give us victory over the disbelieving people. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. Allah, we ask you, Allah, and that we have made sin and say that, Allah, Lord, forgive us our sins and the excesses that have committed in our affairs, and plant firmly our feet and give us victory over the disbelieving people. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. Allah, we know that the fact that you do not charge a soul except with that within its capacity, and it will have the consequence of what good it has gained, and it will bear the consequence of what evil it has earned. O our Lord, do not impose blame upon us if we have forgotten or we have erred. O our Lord, and lay not upon us a burden like that which you laid upon those before us, our Lord, and burden not with that which we have no ability to bear, and pardon us and forgive us and have mercy upon us. You are our protector, so give us victory over the disbelieving people. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Allah, find that we remember and we know that there are many people, they are in trouble. Allah, save them, Allah, save the people of Rohingya Muslims, save those people who are in Syria, save those people who are weak people among the believers. Allah, be hard on those people who are the Buddhists and the disbelieving people who are enemy of Muslims. Be hard on them, Allah, and Allah, please Allah, we find that we have been having troubles, Allah, and we know that all this trouble is to test us. It is to give us strength, Allah, and to give us a high rank on the day of judgment, Allah. But please Allah, just give us the test that we can bear, and together that, Allah, please Allah, forgive our sins and save the Muslims who are in Rohingya, Allah. Take revenge on the enemies of Islam, please Allah. Take revenge on the enemies of Islam, Allah, please Allah. Take revenge on the enemies of Islam, and Allah, take revenge on the people who you find that they think that they have power over the Muslims, and they think that they can win over the Muslims. Allah, take revenge on them, Allah. Amen. Allah, we know that you are the reliever, you are the revealer of the holy book, the Quran, and you are the one who is swift in reckoning. And we have seen also the fact that in Houston there has been a very much hurricane. Allah also help those people. We know that also they are amongst them Muslims, and also they are also disbelievers, but we find that Allah also help them. Allah find they are also in trouble. They are in very much, we find that we have hard story about them, and it is very much difficult to bear, but Allah help them. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Also we find that there are people who they have died, and amongst the Rohingya Muslims, we ask Allah that to fill their houses and graves with Allah, with Noor, Allah. We find that they have been good people, Alhamdulillah, and the Rohingya Muslims, even though they have been oppressed, Allah, please Allah, help them. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. And you fill their grave with Noor and grant them paradise. Ameen, Allah. Please Allah, grant them paradise. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. Allah, grant them paradise. Ameen. Now Allah, we ask you that against the disbelievers, to face against these disbelievers, and we seek your protection against their evil. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. And Allah, we ask you to guide us and to help us to do good and to avoid all the bad deeds. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. Allah, we ask you, Allah, to help the Rohingya Muslims and to save them, and to help to save them. Allah, we find that we know that the President of Turkey, they are trying their best to help the Rohingya Muslims. Please also grant our President, the Turkey President, Alhamdulillah, Jannat Firdaus, Mr. Erdogan, Ameen, grant him into Jannat Firdaus, Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen. And also we find that their army, they are trying now to fight against the disbelieving enemies. We find that Allah help also them, Ameen, Ya Rabbal Ameen, to win over these enemies of Islam in Myanmar, in Rohingya, Syria, Palestine, and everywhere. And inshallah, find the refugees, help them also to get even their jobs, to get their homes, and to grant them even happiness in their life. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Ameen. And inshallah, I end this bid inshallah also with the fact that we know that you are great, and I say Al-Malik, Al-Jabbar, and the greatest, and please, show your strength against the disbelieving enemy of Islam. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Ameen. Inshallah, I finish this inshallah, this dua by saying Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahu mulku wa lahu hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Inshallah, I finish inshallah also this talk billah ta'ala by saying Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
فطار القصيد يحاكي الهوى رياح السموم وكف الغيوم تنادي ألا من جلا من البهو همت رياح هباء فطار القصيد يحاكي الهوى رياح السموم وكف الغيوم تنادي ألا من جلا فشر يحاك لكم